On July 1st, 2016, the Boone County Sheriff's Office received a call about a missing person. Greg Scroggins was wanting to report that his 28-year-old son, Jeremy Scroggins, had been missing since June 27th, or at least that was the last time he had heard from him. Greg said that Jeremy left his residence that day, and they have tried to get a hold of him several times, but they have been unsuccessful. So that report was entered into NCIC. There was a follow-up interview that was done on July 25th, 2016 with Greg Scroggins. He said he still had not heard from his son. He did say that Jeremy Scroggins did not have cell phone service, so the only communication that Jeremy was able to make was by using other people's Wi-Fi, which he did do, and he also used apps like Text Me, Instant Messenger, and Facebook. He did also say that Jeremy had an addiction issue that he had been struggling with since he was 17 years old. So what happened to Jeremy Scroggins? It took 2 months, but police were finally able to obtain Facebook records. And when that happened, they were able to see that on the day that Jeremy Scroggins was last seen, June 27th, he had communication with a man named Shea Butler. He communicated with Shea several times that day. According to police, they communicated about narcotics and they had arranged to meet up. At one point, around 5:21 p.m. that day, Jeremy Scroggins told Shea Butler that he was walking down Hester Drive toward Diamond Head to meet. So Jeremy Scroggins' parents lived in this neighborhood. He would have been walking down this path to get to the Diamond Head Chinese restaurant. I'm kind of glad that I looked this up because I actually thought that Diamond Head and Hester were like intersecting roads. So naturally, police want to talk to Shea Butler. Like, what happened here? It turns out that Shea Butler was in the Boone County Detention Center and he had been incarcerated since June 28th. So the day after Jeremy Scroggins disappeared. Shea Butler was like, I know him. I met him so that I could make a purchase. My girlfriend, Morgan Vaughn, was with me and we dropped him off at a hotel. Then the police met with Morgan Vaughn, just wanting to substantiate the claims that Shea Butler made. And Morgan Vaughn was like, Jeremy Scroggins one time, and it was 2 weeks before the day that you're asking about. So she wrote out her own statement and police were like, that's a little weird. Their statements do not match. And they went back to Shea Butler. So this time Shea Butler was in a different frame of mind and he just told police, I killed him, when asked about Jeremy Scroggins. According to Shea Butler, he planned to steal from Jeremy Scroggins. He said that Jeremy Scroggins had stolen from him before, including a cell phone and narcotics, and that he had intended to get him back. He said that Morgan Vaughn and he drove Jeremy to a cemetery off Old Caps Road, the Denning Cemetery, and that he told Jeremy they were going to look at something. He walked Jeremy out in the cemetery. He asked Jeremy about stealing from him. Jeremy didn't respond, so Shea shot him. The first shot wasn't a good shot, so he shot him 2 more times in the head. During that time, Morgan was driving the vehicle and he told Morgan to drive down the road a little ways. Morgan got lost. She came back and she picked him up. He said that a little ways down the road, he told Morgan he thought he killed Jeremy and Morgan started freaking out. He also told police that he used a gun that he had stolen. So police went back to Morgan and Morgan first told the same story that she had told before. Then she started crying. She said that she was scared. She said that Shea told her he was going to rob Jeremy Scroggins and that she had no idea that anything else was going to happen. Basically, she said all she did was drive. She did also say that Jeremy Scroggins left his cell phone in her vehicle because he thought he was coming back and that cell phone probably ended up in a bag of cell phones that Shea Butler left at her house that she ultimately gave to Shea's mother. So Shea Butler was arrested and charged with first-degree murder, aggravated robbery, and being a certain person in possession of a firearm. Shea Butler pled guilty to the first-degree murder charge as well as the aggravated robbery charge. He got a sentence of 432 months or 36 years in the Arkansas Department of Corrections for both of those charges that is set to run concurrently. The weapons charge was dropped, and as of right now, Shea Butler will come up for parole in 2041. Morgan Vaughn was charged with aggravated robbery. She did not accept a plea deal, and she ended up being convicted of aggravated robbery at a jury trial. She was sentenced to 156 months in the Arkansas Department of Corrections. I do want to add that Shea Butler testified for the state at Morgan Vaughn's trial. He did testify that Morgan had no knowledge that he had a weapon or that he was going to murder Jeremy Scroggins. He testified that he told Morgan that he thought he killed Jeremy, and then she started freaking out. So he was like, no, that's not really what happened, to calm her down, and they just didn't talk about it again. Of course, he was arrested the next day anyway. So Morgan Vaughn is currently in a work release program, and she has a potential parole date in 2026. I do also want to add that Jeremy Scroggins' skeletal remains were eventually recovered at the spot that Shea said the crime happened.